broken bows with just seconds remaining, giving the Revs a crucial win when extra time was looming and looked very probable. The Revs get their second goal, and I think it was deserved. A shakedown of the stats will certainly suggest that. Hard on Bayern and the Montreal Impact, but the New England Revolution, who have been shorn of their star names for much of this campaign, could they be the surprise package of the 2020 MLS Cup playoffs? Time will tell. They are through to the first round proper. They've beaten the Montreal Impact by 2-1.
$2.55. We'll be looking back on the 2020 NBA draft, but first, we'll look ahead to the return of domestic football this weekend. Adriano Del Monte joining me now, and let's go across the league, starting with the Premier League, where it's a big game between Liverpool and Leicester, but Liverpool have been absolutely decimated by injuries and positive COVID tests. Now, they are just a point behind the leaders, Leicester, but what's the latest team news here, Adriano?
A massive weekend, a massive game, and obviously massive news, unfortunately, off the pitch, particularly for Liverpool. It's more a matter of who actually is available, because Jurgen Klopp is without
rated brands like Sealy. When you get a king bed for the price of a queen for a twin.
Of course, Van Dijk.
Plus, get a free adjustable base when you spend $6.99 on Sealy. Or save 50% on select mattresses from Sealy. And get a queen mattress for just $249.99. Don't wait. Shop in store, online, or by phone with a sleep expert for these amazing deals. Only at Mattress Firm.
As well, but for this particular match...
I think this is our sixth game this year against Philadelphia, or fifth game, and whatever. And I think when we arrive in Philadelphia, they're going to give us the supporters shield because we earned it for them with all the points they got against us. But they're a good team. We played a good, solid game tonight. Our finishing could have been a little bit better. I think Diop made a couple of outstanding saves, and I think for the most part we played pretty well.
Bruce, a lot of the talk coming into this one, especially with you, was your three DPs on the field, which you haven't had enough this season. What did you make of their performances tonight?
Well, two of them scored goals, so I think that's a real plus. You know, Carlos Heal's an outstanding player, and we've missed him the entire year, and you can see we're a different team with him on the field. And Gustavo missed a fair amount of towards the end of the season, and to get him healthy again is a plus. And Adam continues to grow. This is all new for Adam. He's 24 years old. It's his first time probably out of Europe, so it's been a challenge both on and off the field, but he's making progress. So a real positive sign out of those three players.
Bruce, a quick turnaround for you and your team, but enjoy this one tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And let's take a look at our Heineken Man of the Match from this one tonight.
Defy damage. Downy Defy damage protects your clothes from the stretching, fading, and fuzzing that happens throughout the wash process. Protect your clothes with Downy Defy damage.
Rosberg takes the championship 34 years after his father.
95th minute winner for Gustavo Bo to lift him past the Montreal Impact into the first round of the Eastern Conference. Guys, what can we say about what the Revs have done tonight?
Well,
it was fun though, right?
It was fun. No, it was really fun. It was wonderful entertainment ultimately. And to Bruce Arena's point in his interview, and the importance of designated players coming up big, obviously scoring goals when you need it. This has to happen regardless of where you finish, regardless of where you are in the pecking order. You need your big players in big moments to step up. And tonight, that's exactly what happened. They might have left it late, but ultimately, you know something's a problem. Look how many players from Montreal running out going, uh-oh, this could be a problem. And by the way, the up and goal, who we saw all make some incredible saves, did not even move on that one as it came through.
You're not going to fault him for that one, are you?
I'm not going to fault him. I don't. No, I'm not going to fault him. Take enough shots, something's going to go in.
But it was the better team that won tonight. Yep. And I'm thinking about now how far can they go. They come up against the Philadelphia Union. I think the Revolution's run ends at that point. This playoff, though, it's playoff season. We're talking about it. The chaos could be coming. I'm excited for the chaos on Sunday because you have Sporting Kansas City against the ultimate chaotic team, a team that enjoys to live on the chaos, which is the San Jose Earthquakes. And look, Sporting Kansas City come in with some pressure into this game, Alexi, and I'm wondering if they can handle that harassment in a way. And then Chris Wondolowski, is this potentially his last hurrah in MLS?
Give me the chaos.
And here's your stats to tease for Sunday. Chris Wondolowski, 166 career goals, most in league history. He has exactly one playoff goal in his entire career. It was a decade ago. ESPN2 is the network for Nashville against Miami tonight. Tomorrow, doubleheader on Unimas and Cunayene. Orlando's first ever playoff game as they host New York City. And a rematch of two teams that have a great playoff history, the Columbus Crew and the New York Red Bulls, beginning tomorrow afternoon before we are back with you Sunday afternoon, Kansas City, San Jose. Great way to start the 2020 MLS Cup playoffs. Stoppage time winner for New England against Montreal until Sunday. For Stu Holden and Alexi Lawless, I'm John Strong saying good night.
What's up, everybody? Joel Klatt here with Breaking the Huddle, ready to celebrate college football with you. The show, as always, is brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Remember, it is the official drink of Vansville. A lot to get into today. We're going to have my top 10, some thoughts on some of those top 10 teams, including Cincinnati and why they're playing such good football. We're going to chat with Brady Quinn from Big Noon Kickoff about his Irish team that is 8-0 and look poised to potentially make a playoff run, depending on what happens in that ACC championship game. I'll break down Michael Penix, the quarterback from Indiana, in preparation for our huge game, Ohio State and Indiana, and then, of course, Clapback, which, as you know, we always finish the show with. So let's get into it right now. The top 10 in the country, as I see it this week. Okay, I moved the little guys, if you will, down a little bit, but it's only because the other teams have been so impressive. So BYU stays in my top 10, but they've become the 10th ranked team in the country. Listen, you guys know how I feel about BYU. I think that they've had a remarkable season. I love what they've been able to do. I mean, think about, they handed Boise State their worst home loss since the 90s, right? Like, this is a really, really good team. I love their head coach. Kalani Sitake has done an excellent job there. They're tough. Zach Hall is an amazing quarterback who I think will be in that Heisman Trophy conversation at the end of the season, and maybe even has worked himself into a position where he could potentially be a guy that could be a first-round NFL draft pick, maybe a second-round NFL draft pick, depending on how the season finishes out. So love what BYU is doing. Cincinnati. All right, folks.
Otherwise, this could be a long night for that back five of Miami.
Now, when we think about and talk about Inter Miami, we think glamour, we think Beckham, we think the big names that have been linked with the club, the big names that have arrived. When we talk about Nashville, completely different.
Yet, they've been effective. Because when you look at this season, a lot of us came into it saying, I don't know what to expect. The USL team coming into this, I knew what to expect from Nashville. The city, 59,000 in their debut against Atlanta United, but I didn't know what to expect from the team. And they've had some bumps in the road. Obviously not playing in MLS's back due to COVID, but they've been efficient collectively. And that you have to applaud Gary Smith, the manager, for getting the most out of the players, coaching them up, And the biggest reason why is they don't give up a ton of goals.
And their lineup is generally fairly straightforward to predict, but there are a couple of wrinkles in this one.
Yeah, a few wrinkles here. You love the Zimmerman Romney in front of Joe Willis. Joe Willis having a career year in goal with 9.
And their lineup is generally fairly straightforward to predict, but there are a couple of wrinkles in this one.
Yeah, a few wrinkles here. You love the Zimmerman Romney in front of Joe Willis. Joe Willis having a career year in goal with 9.
Colocación tras los resultados de la última fecha. A los 15 minutos del segundo tiempo, sin embargo, va a llegar la igualdad a través del hondureño Rommel Kioto, llegando con ese segundo cabezazo para poner la igualdad y llevar en ese momento la definición a la largue o tal vez a los tiros desde el punto del penal. Sin embargo, en la última acción del partido, miren el reloj, apenas quedaban 25 segundos cuando Gustavo Bou iba a sacar ese violento remate de media distancia y entonces Juan, New England se aseguró su plaza en los playoffs.
Qué buen remate, fíjate cómo hace el control, pasa entre medio de los dos, era inatajable para el arquero, absolutamente.
De traditionele maandagavond live-wedstrijd met uitgebreide voorbeschouwing. NFL Red Zone en Monday Night Football. Iedere zondag en maandag live op Fox Sports. De Bundesliga kijk je live. Alleen op Fox Sports. Fox Sports. Fox Sports. Fox Sports. Fox Sports. Ja. Met heel veel Nederlandse inbreng. Prima. Treblewinnaar Bayern kroonde zich tot de beste club van Europa en is hongerig naar meer. Kunnen Dortmund en de andere uitdagers dit seizoen wel een vuist maken? De Bundesliga kijk je live op Fox Sports.
Cast is brought to you by Fitbit Sense. It all fits together on Fitbit. The mark of the match. 60 meters out. I kicked that punch ball so hard it split like an old shoe.
A warm welcome to Nissan Stadium for what is an historic occasion. Expansion Club Showdown or Expansion Derby. Whatever you call it, it's a proud day for Nashville SC and Inter Miami, who become just the 6th and 7th clubs to make it to the MLS Cup playoffs in their debut season. And it's the first time that 2 expansion clubs have done it since 1998, when the Chicago Fire went all the way. So Nashville and Inter Miami are all set for the postseason. But just how do these MLS Cup playoffs work? Here to explain all is Chris Wise.
The top 8 teams from the Western Conference and the top 6 from the East have qualified automatically for the first round of the MLS Cup playoffs. Those who finished 7th down to 10th in the East have the opportunity to compete in a play-in round to determine the final 2 first-round places. All fixtures throughout the postseason are one-off matches, with home advantage going to the highest seed. The first-round winners will advance to the conference semi-finals, where the victors move on to the conference finals. The 2 sides crowned their respective conference champions will then face off on Saturday the 12th of December in the climax to the season, MLS Cup to see who will lift the Philip F. Anschutz Trophy in 2020.
And that will be the Big 12.
Well, Nashville sealed their spot at the end of October on the back of an excellent 9-game unbeaten run at home. And they finished off their temporary residence in the Eastern Conference by securing 7th place, thanks to a 3-2 comeback win at Orlando City on decision day. At the same time, Inter Miami came into that final day with 3 defeats in their last 4, needing a win and for results elsewhere to go their way. Well, they got the win at home to Cincinnati, and with the Fire and Atlanta United both losing, the Stars aligned for the highest profile of this season's new arrivals. And so, we have the current situation, this play-in round. An historic one, a proud one. How do you expect this one to play out, Adam Virgo?
Well, I think you look at Nashville, the way that they've played this season defensively, very, very tight at the back, and Walker Zimmerman is a massive, massive player for them. If Inter Miami allow them to defend deep and play on the counter-attack, they're going to be in trouble. But I think really Nashville have to press from the front to put this Inter Miami side under pressure. But a change side, a change formation from Diego Alonso. So it'd be really, really interesting to see how the players adapt coming into this game.
What have you made of Inter Miami? I mean, Nashville came in with much less fanfare, under the radar, according to Mike Jacobs, their general manager. They were happy with that. They're happy to go about what they do, building this side to represent Nashville, the Music City. Inter Miami with the glitz and glamour. We kind of expected champagne football. Big signings, we got those, but did we perhaps get the full package?
I don't think so. I think it's still a big building process for David Beckham and the people around that are trying to build this football club. Of course, the expectation is always going to be there when you've got a name like David Beckham leading the line from the front. I think things will expect to happen a lot quicker than it really should have done. But listen, it's been a tough season for them. Setting up a franchise is difficult anyway. It's taken a long time for him to get to this spot. But with all this coronavirus and everything about it, it's very, very difficult to really analyse them as a season on the whole. Maybe look at next season with their DPs being a lot fitter, a lot better, then you can assess them. But to be in the playoffs at this stage after 1 year, I think they'll take a lot of credit from that.
Well, of these 2 new franchises, as we said, there was certainly more noise surrounding Inter Miami before the season began, but it's Nashville that have the home advantage for this playoff encounter. And we can now hear from both camps in the company of Chris Wise.
Nashville have certainly surpassed expectations in their debut season, but a 7th place finish in the Eastern Conference has gone somewhat under the radar. They've established themselves as a tough team to beat, especially at home, and intriguingly, they now host fellow expansion side Inter Miami in the play-in round.
I'm absolutely delighted and excited all in the same breath to have the opportunity to progress and to try and see what we're capable of here. It's been a very strange and different year for every team, and there's no reason, given the position we're in right now, that we can't, really try and push the boundaries here and achieve something that nobody, including ourselves, might have expected.
In contrast, the interest surrounding Miami's inaugural campaign meant the Herons were always going to be under the microscope. It took a final day win and results going their way elsewhere for Diego Alonso's attack-minded team to just about sneak above the playoff line.
Everything that happened in the past, all that stuff we went through, doesn't matter now. It's a new season, so we're looking forward to the next game, and now it's playoffs, so it's one game at a time. Every game's a championship, so it's going to be fun.
Well, it's been 12 days since decision day when Nashville's first designated player, Hani Mukhtar, made his comeback as a sub after 4 games out through injury and turned the game against Orlando City around with a goal and an assist late on. He starts here ahead of Derek Jones as one of 2 changes, with John Da Cadiz also coming in for Daniel Rios. It's a first start in MLS for the Venezuelan, who joined on loan from Benfica in September and scored the stoppage time winner last time out. Randall Leal is eligible to play without having to quarantine after being flown back on a charter flight from international duty with Costa Rica. Here's 3 changes and a change of formation for Inter Miami. Centre-half Andres Reyes was already suspended after his red card against Cincinnati, but they've also lost their other central defender, Leandro Gonzalez-Pires, as well as Gonzalo Higuain. The club say they have not been medically cleared to play and haven't travelled. It's a good timing then that as one Argentine defender drops out, another is fit to come back. Nico Figal starting after 2 games out in a back 5 with Alvas Powell making his 3rd start of the season. Dylan Nealis, the 3rd change, all of them defenders. He's been involved in all but 4 of their matches. So we are very close to kickoff then here in what is a huge game. The play-in round into Miami will get us underway, but their away record is in big need of improvement. Can they do it here on their biggest stage of the season? They were drawn away from home in the first 4 games, lost all of them. Just a couple of wins at Atlanta United and at the New York Red Bulls. This will be a fine time to pick up a 3rd. But they'll have to get past a very disciplined and organised Nashville side who will test them on the counter-attack and from set pieces. A side that are built from the back forward and have been improving going forward all season. Well, some have made the trip and bought the tickets that have been on offer. The club have had around 2,000 on sale in the last couple of days. It's into Miami to get us off and underway. The biggest game in both of these 2 short histories. The play-in round for a place in the first round of the MLS Cup playoffs. The lowest ranked side to get through will face Philadelphia Union, the Supporters' Shield winners, and the highest will go to Toronto. It is a tough ask for either of these 2 to go all the way and repeat what the Chicago Fire did in 1998, the last time 2 expansion teams made it this far. They'd have to play all 5 games pretty much away from home. Adam, who do you feel might have the edge when it comes to the opening stages here?
Well, you're looking at straight knockout football, and you look at the way that Nashville have set up this season, the way that they've been defensively, that you'd certainly have to say they start as favourites. I mean, his side have struggled for goals this season.
Miami in the first 15-20 minutes and try to force
building the ball out from the back and trying to
precarious positions,
chances and opportunities in that final third.
Gonzalo Higuain
but this is the season
of
the unknown, isn't it, really? And that's where Inter Miami can really take great credit from that. A massive win against Cincinnati on decision day was a massive moral victory for them. They started in the first 20 minutes really, really well. But it's a massive, massive game for them. Lewis Morgan down the flank is a real outplayer for them. They have to get into the game in certain areas, but they do have to be aware of the counter-attack. And I think that's why the changes that have had to be made, that he's gone to a back 5 to maybe counter the counter-attack from Nashville in that final third.
Well, you can certainly expect those who are playing in those fullback roles to get wide and get forward. Dylan Nealis already has, wearing 18, will take the throw. You mentioned Lewis Morgan, the Scottish winger, who has been a real key player for them. Agudelo playing down the middle on his own in this one in the absence of Higuain. This is Nealis, who gets the ball taken away from him by Mukhtar. And across comes Alvas Powell, playing in the right-hand side of that back 3. A big day for John de Cadiz as well, the Venezuelan, starting for the first time. One of the 2 coaches, Diego Alonso, has the more recent success, twice a winner with 2 different sides in Mexico of the CONCACAF Champions League. But it is 10 years to the day, almost, depending on where you're watching, the 21st of November, that Gary Smith won the MLS Cup in charge of the Colorado Rapids back in 2010. A proud day for the Englishman. This too, if he can lead Nashville beyond this play-in round. Test was Zimmerman, the MLS Defender of the Year, voted this week. And what a season it has been. Picked up from LAFC, where he was also impressive last season. He conceded the fewest goals. Johnston up from right back. Here's Mukhtar again. Could be key. Back from injury. Relatively fresh. In what has been an interrupted season. A key centre-half pairing that has been, alongside Dave Romney, who's played every minute of all 23 regular season games. This time, Walker Zimmerman looks long. It's a little too long in the end for the Canadian, Alistair Johnston.
I think Miami just trying to be very patient when they don't have the ball in the first early periods of this game. Nealis and Ambrose are actually dropping back quite deep, and it's really up to Morgan to really press on that right-hand side, and Agudelo and Pizarro playing a little bit more central to try and stop that ball into the middle, into Godoy and McCarthy to try and stop them playing out from the back. Concentration for Inter Miami is going to be very, very important when they don't have the ball, and they have to do well when they retain possession to get themselves up the field.
It was a strong one by Nealis on Mukhtar. And there's a card going to come out here, I think, very early on for Dylan Nealis. Well, maybe it's just a talking to. The referee reached for his pocket, got it out, put it back in again. It's just a talking to for the fullback. Five minutes in. Oh, it was a yellow card. There you go, confirmation on the PA system. We didn't see the initial showing of it, but he did get it out, and it's a stand on the foot.
Yeah, it was just a little bit late, wasn't it?
Ambitious, but wide. Confirmation of the caution. No work to do. As Leal goes for it, the Costa Rican international.
Well, Gary Smith going this evening with quite an attacking lineup, with Leal on one side, Mukhtar just playing down the middle, Mawil playing on the right-hand side. Three attacking players with a bit of skill on them. So it's interesting to see that he's gone with that in this pressure game. So you have to rely on the possession to get these players into these positions where they are now.
Mukhtar does so. It's a nicely disguised ball. Mawil it was, he wanted it and took it. Now he'll get it again. Lovitz preparing to make the overlapping run and does so. Cross doesn't beat the first defender, Figal. But they will recycle it with Godoy. Here's Johnston. And coming together in the box has gone the way of Inter Miami, not the way Nashville wanted it.
I didn't really see too much in that. Will there, just a little push on the back of Powell. But they're going to have to defend well this evening. Stop crosses coming in into Miami, with Cadiz playing down the middle, that big physical presence. Got the winner against Orlando from a cross that came into the box. So certainly an area that his side have to really capitalise on.
That's another one. A couple of fouls to break play up early on in the game. Lovitz, who got his first goal last time out on decision day with Orlando City. Cadiz knocked it down to Mawil. Cadiz looked to try and keep it in. All 7 appearances before this coming off the bench for John de Cadiz. And he'll have a very compact defence to try and get his way around this Inter Miami side. Have certainly tightened up since the early days of the season. They shipped an awful lot of goals. They had a difficult opening start, didn't they? Just 1 win in the first 9. Only 7 wins all season, and none of them have come by more than 1 goal. When they do have possession, as you say, and you'd expect them, based on the metrics we've seen all season, to have a little bit more of it. They have to make it count. They have to turn it into tangible chances, which they haven't always been able to do.
Well, they do when Pizarro gets on the ball, especially. That player that's got good quick feet, good eye for a through pass. And Morgan's a player that can run with it down the right-hand side. Can certainly get into Miami up the pitch in that kind of way. Defensively, their Shea's been pretty good in the first period of this game. Just not really kept the ball well enough for an away side for any real pressure for them to kind of squeeze up the pitch at this moment.
Important to have Pizarro back. The man who got their very first goal. Wheel tracking back. And Zimmerman making the foul. And you can hear what the coach of Inter Miami wanted for that.
It is a yellow card.
Blaise Matuidi held back by Walker Zimmerman, who was the man who scored their first goal in the opening 2-1 loss to Atlanta United. Now he's got defending to do. Morgan it will be to put the ball in for the first time, and there is Zimmerman to put it away.
That's great defending. That's what he's all about. Done an outstanding season, and LAFC have really suffered without him in the centre of their defence. Under Bob Bradley, haven't replaced him. He's been an excellent signing for Nashville.
Lovitz looking to guide it back, and he can only guide it behind for a corner. It's been a standout season for Joe Willis as well, ever present between the posts and 9 clean sheets, but he couldn't do much about this.
Just trying to be a little bit too clever there, the fullback. Trying to chest it back to his own goalkeeper, but this is an area that Inter Miami have been strong in recent weeks. Morgan crosses, really coming to goals.
8 assists so far for Lewis Morgan, the Scotsman, as he prepares to take this first corner. Puts it in a good area. Figal was waiting. This is Powell, who just eased his marker out of the way.
Another big header there from Zimmerman. They'll still have to rely on set plays this evening. He's having a lot to say so far, isn't he?
Well, he came into this saying they didn't have anything to lose. Well, they came from behind. They have a lot to win and a lot of ambition. But at the same time, they need to be, as he quite rightly pointed out, well aware of what Nashville's strengths are. The fact they will sit deep, but also then spring counter-attacks if Miami leave a little too much space in behind. Here is Lovitz. Neatly dummied by Mukhtar. Turned on to him by Muyel. He's got such great control with the ball at his feet. That one just evading its intended target. Wheel has clapped it into the hoardings again, and that's an interesting battle developing, Powell and Wheel.
It's a silly foul there from Powell in that situation, and Wheel just going back away to goal, going towards the touchline. Would have been offside from the through ball anyway. It's a silly foul to give away.
He's not really going anywhere, is he? For Alvas Powell, it was more a case of gently guiding him out rather than knocking him over, and that presents an opportunity here, either for Lovitz or for Mukhtar. Referee's happy. It comes in from Mukhtar. Almost squeezes all the way through past McCarty. Here is Willis. One more clean sheet. And Andre Blake, the man who was the goalkeeper of the year. The man for Philadelphia Union who has been one of the architects of their Supporters' Shield victory. They are one of the potential opponents of these two.
That's good play there from Inter Miami, just being patient when they don't have the ball. Almost going to a flat back five. We're talking about that ball in behind, not dropping too, keeping that high line. If they drop too high, then that ball in behind is going to be a real outball for Nashville. But there will be a slight gap in the midfield and defence, the way they are defeating slightly deep up.
That has worked. The ball was deflected, and it's a rocket of a goal! What a start from Leal! Back from international duty. He might not have played. He's been cleared, and what a strike! Randall Leal, from out of nowhere, gives Nashville the early lead.
Well, this is just an unstoppable strike from an informed player. Talking about the gap between the midfield and the defence, you had to pick up the second balls really well, and Nashville do that, and they just drop off a little bit. You have to go and close it down. Figueroa, the 5, has to squeeze up a little bit tighter than what he's done, but take nothing away from the strike from Randall Leal. Take a bow, son. You don't save those. Brilliant, brilliant finish in a massive game for them. What a way to get themselves off this mark in this game.
It's his 4th goal of the season. It's his biggest goal of the season. How important was it to get him back after a couple of internationals and get him eligible for this game? John Depp has gone down on that far side. What a start for Gary Smith. Well, it might be the goal that the game needed just to open things up.
Oh, it's a brilliant goal. Brilliant, brilliant goal. That's the ball they're trying to stop, the ball over the top. But then the midfield has to be tight up. He's been excellent the last couple of months for Nashville. He really has. He's been so important. Got the winner against Montreal. And if that is the winner, what a way to do it. No chance with the goalkeeper.
Well, Gary Smith felt these two might serve up something special. They might have a couple of styles that are very contrasting, but they might complement each other when it comes down to this kind of game. There wasn't much between these two in the regular season. Anibal Godoy getting the only goal in Nashville's 1-0 win, and then there was a goalless draw in Miami. It came from the game's first shot on target. Neither goalkeeper had really too much to do before that. Well, it'll suit Nashville, won't it, just to get that early goal and then be able to play more of their game without having to worry too much about going to seek it.
An early goal always helps settle the nerves. It also helps the balance of the game now. Inter Miami always just dropping off deep anyway. Nashville been pretty direct in the early periods.
And they're asking the question of the referee. It's not going to happen for them. Mukhtar wants them to check the VAR. How can that not be a foul, says Gary Smith? Well, let's have a look.
Well, it is a foul. These are the ones that you sometimes see outside the box that you give. I think it's just on the line, isn't it? It's clumsy from Pau. Really is clumsy from him.
He's going to have to be very, very careful, Abbas Pau. He's made a couple of clumsy ones already. Rattled, I think.
Yeah. Well, the balance of the press of his side is not quite working at the moment because they're going quite direct early on. And the Tweedy and Trapp are just not quite there, winning up the second balls.
That's Powell again. Nashville clearly putting the ball down that side of the Inter Miami defence, and they're getting good joy from it.
They've gone long every single time. There comes a little period in the game where you look at game management and your two holding midfielders just to drop a little bit. They're pushing up here, but Nashville have just gone long every single time. When your centre-halves get the ball, Agudelo has to play a little bit higher. There's the ball there again.
And as you rightly pointed out, they're winning these second balls. Matuidi and Will Trapp, 8 and 6 in there, just not really engaged in the game at all so far, apart from that one run from misplaced Matuidi where he won a free kick.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to stop the ball into McCarthy, who's dropping deep. But when Zimmerman gets the ball and Romney get the ball, they just go direct early on.
Agudelo now applying the pressure. Zimmerman looks to drop one in as well for the right-back Johnston. He now puts pressure on Mikey Ambrose, who's set Miami away with that first goal in MLS on decision day. They're going to need to come from behind in this one if they are to progress.
Tell you what, though, it's got to be real close. Once he gets in front of him, you know what it's like as a defender. I know they're making it.
Well, the absence of fans will mean that you will hear a lot more of what the coaches are saying on the touchline.
I agree with Gary Smith saying. He's saying he's got goal side of Pal, and it's a clumsy challenge.
That's a little bit more no nonsense from De La Garza and Agudelo. You can see how isolated he is. This formation does mean that they'll have to get players making advance runs a little bit quicker, but while Nashville are controlling possession, that isn't happening. Here's Mukhtar away from Powell, who's not having the best start to his game. Dax McCarty, hugely experienced, winning it back away from Agudelo.
Just the turnover of the ball for Inter Miami's been far too frequent. They can't get out of their own half at the moment, and when they do win the ball back, they're giving it away within a couple of passes and giving away a couple of silly free kicks now. They've really lost their discipline so far. Not really started the game yet.
Well, it's been a busy start to the game, hasn't it, for the referee, Ismail Elfad, who was voted and named the MLS Ref of the Year for the first time this week. Neither manager is particularly happy, but it will be Nashville who get to profit.
I think Gary Smith's trying to say there's no difference between that push than the one that was almost that Powell gave away.
Should give you an idea of just how frequently the coaches do talk on the touchline.
A lot.
Well, a second goal and a two-goal cushion will be really quite something for Nashville here. We played just about 21 minutes and they have another promising set piece. Mukhtar again looking over it. Lining up on the edge of the penalty area. Inter Miami have to be so careful with this one. It is Mukhtar. It's Cadiz who gets up. Didn't get the right direction on the header. I'll have to build again from a lot deeper with Johnston. Arrows one into the far post where Zimmerman was waiting. This time they have seen off the danger. Mikey Ambrose seeing it out. Just a full start for him. We probably expected Sweat to come back. There was a few players actually not in the lineup we might have expected to see based on the pre-match, but we'll talk about that a little later as Muil looks to put one forward for Mukhtar, who battles, and he's got round the goalkeeper, and that should be a penalty. It is. It's going from bad to worse for Inter Miami. Real strength from Mukhtar, who was second favourite to get that, but got there. And Diego Alonso's side now staring at a penalty kick.
Oh, there was just a slight hesitation from McCarthy coming out. I thought he was going to get there, and then he just stopped, and then he stopped again. He's straight away. You can tell from a goalkeeper's reaction that it's not going to be a penalty. That's not a penalty for me. I think that Mukhtar's made the absolute biggest meal of that. Felt a tiny bit of a contact from the shoulder, but for me, that's not a penalty.
Well, he did well, based on those replays, to withdraw his arm. Did John McCarthy. We do have VAR here, as I've mentioned. Daniel Radford is the man. But at the moment, the penalty stands.
It's not a penalty, in my opinion. You can't give that. I mean, it's so soft. It's unbelievable.
Rodolfo Pizarro's protests come to nothing. It's Nashville and Mukhtar to make it 2. We're midway through the first half and Nashville have got a 2-goal cushion. An historic day for the 2 expansion clubs. It is going the way of Nashville SC. What a start. 2 early goals. And Diego Alonso's side have a long way back from here.
It's a massive mountain to climb now. You're looking at the replay again. I cannot see how in a million years that has been given as a penalty. Calm as you like down the middle, waits for McCarthy to make the dive. First goal you take a massive amount of credit for, the quality of the strike, the quality of the goal. But that is a massive, massive goal in the context of this game. Make no facts about it, Inter Miami have not started this game so far. They've defended too deep, the balance of the midfield's not been right, the possession's not been kept well enough. But you certainly have to feel for them in that second goal, because no way in a million years that should have been given.
Morgan has not got into the game, Agadelo's not got into the game. They're key players in key areas. But Gary Smith's side have executed his game plan perfectly, I think, so far. 4 goals now in 3 games for Mukhtar, who is delivering at the business end of the season. Romney to Zimmerman. Those 2 largely untroubled so far, apart from fielding a back pass. You know, Joe Willis has had absolutely nothing to do. This decision to go with a 5 at the back has not paid off as yet for Inter Miami. A couple of goals from a couple of attempts on target as Alvas Powell nonchalantly backheels it behind him. Had to be pretty confident that there was a player there, De La Garza, just in time. They may be new to this stage into Miami, but they certainly have enough experience in the lineup to be able to, you know, put something down as a marker and get back into this game. You know, they've got 5 players who've won the MLS Cup. 3 of them, Ambrose, De La Garza and Powell, are on the pitch. Got a lot of postseason matches, 118 among the squad. Just have not clicked yet. Ambrose down to Will Trapp. Cadiz. Now they've got something to protect. Nashville in no hurry, but when they do get it, they can counter quickly as Muil, with a beautiful ball through, almost releases Cadiz.
I think it was about 3 miles offside anyway before when the ball was played through, but again, you're looking in that position when they're in a good area and Trapp gives away the ball.
Agudelo. They're just having a time on the ball, have they, into Miami and inside the Nashville half. Pizarro looks for Agudelo, whose frustration gets the better of him. Talk of experience, you don't come much more experienced in the current game than Dax McCarty. He's been making a point this week. He said these kind of games, you know, they don't come around as often as you think they do, so you have to make sure as a group that you take full advantage when they are here.
He's a really important player in that midfield for his side, the captain, the leader. Just breaks up play, does the other side of the game that probably players don't get a lot of credit for. The breaking up of play. The ugly side that you see, just an absolute battle warrior in that midfield.
It is enlightening to listen to both of the coaches. Romney to Zimmerman. One of the best partnerships in MLS. Never mind that it's a brand new side with a brand new roster to put together. Cadiz. Conceded less than a goal a game. Best goal average, goals against of any expansion side ever. And that makes it, you know, another stat, another metric that just is against Inter Miami at the moment. These are one-off games, though. Diego Alonso has a great record in knockout format. Morgan makes the run and is taken out. There's a card coming. Johnston, I think. There's going to be an Inter Miami free kick anyway.
Yeah, Morgan felt there was just a tip on the face there from Johnston. Really too much in that, though, but enough to go down.
Alistair Johnston into the boot. They haven't had too many situations like this. One that was won by Blaise Matuidi, who, that apart, has not been able to contribute much so far. Half an hour in, into Miami with the platform, flicked on towards Pizarro, who just couldn't get there.
Well, it seems like the only outball they've got at the moment is from a set play. Quality of Morgan. I think Pizarro could just be a little bit more positive there. Just gamble.
There's another card coming out here. They're being flashed around quite often in this opening half hour. Cadiz is down. It is a frustrating first half hour, and Will Trapp goes into the boot. You can hear what Diego Alonso thinks of it.
Take your time! See the pictures!
Gary Smith wants them to slow it down. Nealis has got it away. It is almost there. Here is Pizarro. Return with interest by Mukhtar. Zimmerman still up there. Nealis will eventually bring it down. Look for Morgan. He's in a foot race with Romney. Willis didn't panic. Played it neatly to Lovitz, who looks long again. That ball dropping on the top of Powell. His clearances have handed the ball back to Nashville on more than one occasion.
Well, it seems now they've gone to a back four into Miami. I looked at the formation before they started. I look at the person. I know the players are missing that we've spoken about before the start of the game, but I said to you before the start, it almost felt like a formation and the personnel that Alonso has selected, that he's probably thinking about it far too much. And the fact that Pellegrini's going to be coming on now shows everything about their start so far. Change of formation, substitute after 32 minutes. Kind of really says it all.
He might have been one of those you'd expect to start, Matthias Pellegrini, one of their designated players, but Nealis makes way. And as you mentioned, that will just cement that change from the back five to a back four. The 20-year-old Argentine is on, and into Miami immediately and win themselves a corner.
So on one side you can look at it as bad management in terms of going for a formation and personnel, but he realises where the problems are. They haven't really got an out ball at the moment. The back five were just dropping far too deep, and the two midfielders had so much running to do to try and win those second balls, and they've just been absolutely outmuscled in every single area.
Second corner for Inter Miami. Figal is up there. Zimmerman wins it first. I'll have to settle for a throw. They've switched it to Pizarro. Blaise Matuidi. It's a real eye for a pass, but Nashville more than read that one. Alves Pau. Here's Matuidi again. Need time on the ball. Him and Will Trapp, maybe they'll start to get a little more of it. Made his debut against Nashville back in September in the goalless draw, did Blaise Matuidi. He started all but one of their games since, as they pushed on. Came into that decision day with 3 defeats in the last 4, but they turned it around. Can they turn this one around? Figal under pressure from Wheel. Forward comes Gaza. This is a little bit better. Agudelo. Romney in control. Mukhtar. Won the penalty, scored the penalty for the second goal. McCarthy. Back to Annabelle Godoy.
I think these are the areas here where you need to squeeze up a little bit. That's much better there. Be slightly braver.
Agudelo. This is Morgan, who's been pretty free to drift from left to right so far. Gaza has brought it out. Pizarro, a little better. They're certainly enjoying more time on the ball in Nashville territory, and they've won themselves a free kick too.
And they need something before half-time. Set plays have been their really best outball so far. Got a better outball now. Ball into feet to Pellegrini, can turn and run and players.
Almost quickly taken by Lewis Morgan. The man with the most goals, the most shots and the most assists for the club in this debut season. The Scotsman swings it in. It's Zimmerman again who wins it. And they'll look to prevent the corner too.
It shows his qualities, Lewis Morgan, taking a free kick like that with his left foot.
They're going to have to look to him for inspiration here. Whether that be from set pieces or from open play, that didn't quite come off, and we've got about 7 minutes to go.
He had 2 seasons at the helm in the USL as he started to shape things.
Which has gone just as Gary Smith, I'm sure, would have wanted it.